You're welcome to take it. I don't know if you're going to teach that tomorrow. Classic BSHE resource for Malaysia. So yeah, if I had some digital signage, I'd put that in there.
Yeah, and here's my Padlet that you can see up on the screen. I've just dropped that into the so please feel free to bookmark it and come back to these resources. But I'll just honor everybody's time since we said 12 o'clock Shanghai time, and we'll start on time. So we're going to go ahead and start recording here.
Right, I will switch off.
Okay, I'll leave mine on just in case somebody watches it. So hi everyone, welcome to Getting Started with Digital Signage in Schools. If you saw it on the list of the different presentations, the presentation is called Daily Digest. So I've worked in a couple different schools, and something that I noticed a lot is that schools like the idea of digital signage, and they have TVs around the school, but not a lot of people will use them. And I've actually noticed at my current school, I've been working here for 3 months, that there are a lot of TVs that were just off. Nobody was interested in showing their content. So being an innovator, I wanted to think of a way to solve this problem. How can we use these great resources that people aren't displaying on? And second, how can we help communicate messages? A lot of people want to communicate something about digital citizenship. Counselors want to communicate about wellness and about mental health. Our IB coordinators want to communicate about the learner profile, about examinations. I mean, the list goes on. Everybody has something that they want to communicate. So we've got this issue, and then on the other hand, we have TVs that are often underutilized. So that's where I'm coming in with this Padlet. How can we bridge this gap in schools? So you can see over on the left in my Padlet, there is that green column. There's the bit.ly link. You can access it that way. You can scan the QR code. And please also follow me on Twitter. I would love to stay in touch after this, and we can continue the conversation if you're interested. So I'm Mr. Alex EdTech on Twitter. And I'm just going to speak for about 8 more minutes, and then I thought maybe we could have a discussion or answer any questions that you might have. I'm sure that this is going to be information overload. There's quite a bit here, so I want to be cognizant of that as well. So let's see if I can hold myself to that 10-minute talking time. Okay, so just in case you weren't able to get on, I did drop that link inside the chat. I'll drop it just one more time in case you couldn't see it. All right, so let's just go through a few of the columns, and you're invited to read it more in detail if you're interested. So the first thing I want to talk about is some exemplars. Let's take a look at this picture. Make sure it's coming across in a large way. Yeah, that looks great. So I'm currently working at Shanghai American School, and we have a lot of TVs. Here's one of them that I'm currently working on. So you can see that there are some students who are watching a video. It's a promo from our drama department about a play. So they could advertise as another department that wanted to communicate something to our community. And then you can see how it's kind of a small video, and there's a larger frame on the outside. On the outside, you can see that there is, in the top right-hand corner, there's the weather. Underneath it, you can see the date and the time, and then there's a boy's head who's blocking it, but it shows the rotation schedule. So we have an 8-day rotation schedule at our school, and so we can put that up on the screen and remind students what the schedule is going to be. And then at the very bottom, it's kind of small and hard to see, but the system that we currently use also looks up current news. So there's a lot of rich information. There are many reasons to go look at the screen from all these different points of data that we're showing. So let's take a look at, maybe I think I have another picture in here. Let's go back over to my Padlet. So another thing that I want to do at my school is promote diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging. You might have heard of DEIB. Back a few years ago, I think the name of it might have been international mindedness. So I want students to think about other cultures, other perspectives, what's happening in the world. It's also a very IB sort of way of thinking. So if you work at an IB school, thinking about international holidays and where we fit into, or how we fit into the world, it's quite helpful. And you can also notice down at the very, very bottom, I have another type of template that I use, and that's just in the Google Slides. I would use the slide template, and I would just put like a different color for each of the different rotation days. So here you can see it's a 2B day, and then the next day I would just change the color over and make the next one bright. So students would always know what the rotation day is. Let's go back to the Padlet, and I don't want to talk too much about this, but I'm gonna change to another slide here. When you go down to this one, you can see there's a girl who's painting. That's actually a link to an example of the Google Slides that you might use if you wanted to get started. So let me just stop sharing and then reshare that tab. Okay, there we go. Yeah, yeah, James is looking at one of the next steps, which is a Raspberry Pi, which is going to be one of the things I can point out to you. So here is an example of what you could do with slides. You can see it's so easy. It's so simple. It just has a title, a picture, and then credit. So as a tech coach, I'm trying to encourage digital citizenship and crediting others for their work, putting attributions for who created it. You can see over on the left, I'll just kind of go through a few of those tabs, but this link is public, so please feel free to look through it if you're interested. But things like, what is the rotation day? So I have a big screen that would splash up, and I have these different animated GIFs or GIFs from Canva. Very easy to make. Okay, just pause and just kind of look at a few of those things. So there's quite a bit more here. Oh, actually, that's the end of it. Why don't I just end there? So you can see that there's quite a bit of engaging information. And I'd like to now talk about kind of how do we make those decisions about what we show. So let me just switch back over to my Padlet. So I'll stop presenting that tab. And now I'm just going to switch back over to my Padlet tab. All right, there we go again. So there's a little bit more about the exemplars. You can read there if you like. So just touching on a couple of the rules, and then I'd like to open it up for a conversation. So the TVs, or the digital signage, has a philosophy behind it. And I think this is the most important one when I'm trying to share this sort of thinking with others. And that's the 90-10 rule. 90% of the time, it should be celebration. So you can see this lady on a game show celebrating. She got 90. That was what she wanted. But 90% of the time, we should be celebrating our students. It should be, what are the amazing things our community is doing? 10% of the time, you can deliver information like calendars, notices, and information. When you do that 90-10 rule, you'll find that your students, your community will want to go look at the TVs. If you unbalance it and it's only celebrations, it'll feel like it's not important. There's no need to go look at it. It's just like, yeah, it's my friends being cool. If you had only information, it's kind of boring. It's like, there's too much information. I don't want to go look at it. But when you balance it between celebrations and then a little bit of information, you'll capture that attention that you need. Some other things are, try to visualize your values. Try to celebrate the things that you believe in your school. Try to post frequently, but make small posts. It's kind of that idea of blogging or even microblogging with Twitter. Post frequently, but it doesn't need to be these huge books. It doesn't need to be this huge piece of information. It needs to be small, digestible, quick chunks. Try to keep your interface simple. So you might have noticed it was a title, a picture, and an attribution when I was making my slides. It's easy for me to make, so it's going to be easy for others to make as well. It'll also be easy for people to read as they're walking by. So I have a 5-second rule. When people walk by, they should be able to get the gist of what you're trying to communicate in a few seconds. Try to make it useful. Are you sharing information that is relevant to that age group that you're communicating to? So is your TV located in high school, for example? Well, you probably want to avoid things that might appear childish. They might not really respond well to that. So think about your audience. And the last one is try to make it visually appealing. Things like Google Slides has the Explore button where you can make it automatically arrange your content in beautiful ways. Canva, as I mentioned, is another great tool to make it beautiful. So I'm just about done, but what I'd like to do is invite you, if you're interested in getting started on your digital signage journey like I showed, try to read this list of the blue items here about how you might go about doing it. And the last section I'd like to invite you to think about is I've rated 4 different types of ways that you might get started with digital signage. I have the easy one, medium, advanced, and pro. So if you're a very beginner with digital signage, something simple that you might do is simply create slides and download it as a PDF or as a PowerPoint file. Most TVs will allow you to plug in a USB thumb drive and play a PDF or a PowerPoint. If you're feeling like that's a little bit too simple, I know you are all innovators, you're probably techie folks, you might consider publishing Google Slides to the web and maybe thinking about an 8-second rotation between your slides, and then using bit.ly. I have that down here. You can follow these steps using bit.ly to shorten your address. So you'll get something that looks kind of like this, bit.ly, and then you can punch it into your TV. Okay, 2 more that might be a little bit more advanced. You might buy a PC stick. I've had some really good luck with these. They've been a little bit more on the powerful side, so they can process animations if you have a lot in your slides, or animated GIFs. Or if you wanted to do a live stream, sometimes at our school we might live stream a music event or a sporting event. So this is great because it will allow us to do that. They are a little bit more expensive. A cheaper option in this more advanced mode might be to use a Raspberry Pi. I have used them before at my previous school. They were cheap and very affordable, easy to use. They did struggle sometimes with some of the harder things like animations. So if you are on a budget, Raspberry Pi is fantastic. If you want to push it a little bit more, this is actually a full Windows computer that can do just about anything you're thinking about. I think they tend to come with 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigabyte hard drive, and they're pretty powerful. And the last note I just would like to end on is you might think about working with a content management system. It's loading a little bit slowly. So a content management system is usually a website that will help you to manage your TVs remotely. So a CMS usually comes with templates. You can see this one that I like is called Rise Vision. The price is so cheap, it's $1,000 a year for unlimited TVs and unlimited users. Now, if you were to compare that against other platforms, Rise Vision is so much cheaper than other platforms once you're looking at an entire school. And a school like mine that has easily 100 TVs across the 3 divisions, this is a lot more affordable for us. And finally, you can see some of the templates here have green as their background. That means that you can put in a link like Google Slides, or you can embed HTML. So you can work with their templates, or you can just embed Google Slides. The great thing about CMS like Rise Vision is that it will allow you to remotely update your TVs, change them to show something else. Like if there was bad air, here in Shanghai, sometimes we have bad air. You can update your TVs and say, it's a bad air day, please don't go outside. Or I will even take my iPhone around with me and I'll shoot photos of events. So I'll see that, there's a performance. I'll shoot a photo and I can directly put it into our CMS. It's a kind of magical. People will see it and be like, how did you get this already on the TVs? That's so fast. And the easy answer is, well, I just use my phone and I can connect to some software that allows me to do it without many steps. So I can just end my presentation there. and there is quite a bit more information throughout this. I just wanted to skim over it quickly, and I spoke for a little bit longer than I was hoping for. So how about I pause there and let me open it up for any questions that might be in the room. Anything that might have been confusing or that was interesting you'd like to chat more about? You can also type in the chat if you feel more comfortable. Thanks, James.
Hey there, Alex. How many people are involved in putting your slides together? I'm curious what that team looks like, or if it's just you or a nice team, or I'm just curious.
So another thing that I love about Google Slides is that it's so easily collaborative compared to perhaps some other platforms. So the policy is right now that any teacher can access it. So I share it with my high school division and then with trusted students. So, you know, we have around 60 teachers in our division. I forget the exact number, but let's say around 60. And then I have a group of students called Media Council, and they're kind of like our media leaders. They help with things like the TVs, live streams, and whatever. So they are also the trusted students who are allowed to access it. So I would say I'm the primary person who's trying to get the energy up. So you'll see right now at the beginning of the year, it's mostly me. And then, oh, did Ken leave? Oh, well, I'll keep answering it for the video. So it's primarily me at the moment getting that energy and that excitement. But then I have others who from time to time will post. Oh, hey, Ken, I was just saying it's primarily me. And then it's others who will from time to time post. So it's really one at the moment and starting to get others excited about that idea and training them how to do it. So it's, you know, in a given week, you might see around 10 people sending me photos as well. In China, you probably can't see that. In China, we have WeChat on our phones. That's a popular way to communicate. So I have a WeChat group also. And I said to teachers, if there's something cool happening, just send me a photo, a video, a poster, whatever it is you might be creating. I'll just put on the slides for you. So I want people, the essential thing to get that culture of useful digital signage is to get people regularly looking at them and feeling like, hey, my voice is being heard in the school. So I'm kind of like putting myself into it quite a bit at the moment, but the idea is more and more people will start to be involved. So
how dynamic would you say you update these things? How often do you generally update? Daily. Okay. Oh, so there's always something to look for. That's brilliant.
Yep. There's another little plugin that you might like. It's Slide Randomizer. So I will take things down after 3 days that have been up. If it's just like a celebration of students being amazing and sharing a little bit of the love, like I'll take it down after 3 days and I'll find some new stuff. And if the information is passed, I'll take it down. And then I try to add 5 to 10 slides a day of really simple stuff. I dedicate maybe 30 minutes or less a day. I know that sounds like a lot of work, but once you have people sharing their content, you can just start throwing it in. And then I use Slide Randomizer so that the slides are different and then the students won't know what to anticipate. It feels new each time. And then at the end of the day, before I go home, I just make sure everything is refreshed so that when anybody looks at it, it will feel new tomorrow. Are any of you tech coaches? I know Ken is. You mentioned you were a digital learning coach. James, are you a tech coach?
No, I'm a classic computer science teacher.
I got that feeling from your presentation just before.
Yeah.
For tech coaches, we try to get our foot in the door with folks and build a relationship. So also walking around with a camera and saying like, oh, can I get some pictures to celebrate the cool things you're doing in your classroom? That's a great in as well. So sometimes I'll just walk the halls and be like, hey, how's it going? Ooh,
I think that's a really good idea because that gets you into people's classroom and gets teachers possibly saying, by the way, while you're here, can I just ask? I think that's an absolutely fantastic and a hidden benefit to something I wouldn't have expected from this presentation.
Yeah. I started with digital signage and then found that people were liking it so much that I got invited more and more to just walk around. And now my other coach, who's an instructional coach, will actually walk the halls with me and just go take photos for the TVs. So it's an in for both of us in the high school. And then we're going to spread this to the other divisions once we have our system up and running. All right, well, it's 12:20. Thank you all very much for watching, and please bookmark the Padlet and have a great Spark Camp.
Thank you very much, Alex.
Yeah, thank you.